Hi, hello, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. Whether you want to join me live or you would rather watch a replay, it doesn't really matter as long as I get the support because I am having problems, which is why I wanted to talk tonight. Um, I think for the most part, it's really hard to start something like this. It's hard. Well, it's always hard to put yourself out there. But like I've been a blogger and I've been a writer and I've done all sorts of things where I've had to, like self promote, and I always struggle with it. I always struggle with like self promoting really sucks. Hello, Sophia. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you. I always appreciate you, Sophia. And I have a hard time with self-promotion because I don't like to really like talk about myself in the way like, "Oh, I'm good at something," or "You should see what I'm doing." Even when I had written a book and I was supposed to kind of be like promoting myself and I was supposed to be, doing book signings and stuff like that. It was really hard, and I think I ended up doing 2 book signings. One book signing, absolutely nobody came to, except, like, a mom and a daughter came on accident because they thought that there was gonna be, like, some craft day or something. And so I was like, "Hi, you can, stay for my story, and I can give you a copy of my book instead." And they were like, "Okay, sure." So that was always fun. Um Not really fun. It's embarrassing. I can definitely say that. It's embarrassing because, you put yourself out there and then you feel like rejected if like nobody shows or only one person shows, and then you're questioning yourself, why am I doing this? This is so stupid. So back in the, mid 2000 mid, like 2005, 2006 area, mom blogs were starting to get really popular. And then in like maybe 2007, 2008, that's when they like exploded. Everybody wanted to do a mom blog. So I had a mom blog that I started, and one of my friends had nicknamed me the Chaos Mommy. And they called me the chaos mommy because at the time when I first started my blog and when I very first started with this like online moms like chat room thing, my husband was deployed to Afghanistan. I had 3 kids. Like, I think my daughter was 8 or 9, and then the 2 boys were younger than her. So, I was by myself in a town where, like, none of my family really lived. My mom lived a couple hours away, but just not close enough to, like, really babysit or anything. And, with my mom blog, I decided to just kind of do like our day-to-day kind of stuff. I wasn't super interested in like a lot of people wanted to share recipes or share crafts or things like that. I just thought that our life was so crazy all the time. It was just more fun to like share our day-to-day things. And you know how like when kids are growing up, they say just the most hilarious stuff. Hi, Marilyn. Thank you. And when kids say such like funny things, and so I like that I was able to use this blog to kind of like preserve what we were doing. And I kept the blog for, I want to say, almost 10 years, maybe like 8 or 9 years. Hi, Joel. Thank you for joining me. So the blog is archived and I can find it, but when other people try to Google it, they can never find it. But anyways, if you've got the skills, it's called the Chaos Mommy, and it's on the blog server called Blogger. And so it's there. It's archived. I haven't written in it in probably 10 years, but it was really fun while it lasted. But again, it was one of those things where I was like talking to myself, and I had like a couple of other mom blogger friends that would um like I would comment on their stuff, they would comment on my stuff. We would kind of do the back and forth things like that. And I thought that it was really fun, but putting myself out there like in the way that I did, just with all of our military life and all of the kids stuff. Um the kids the kids were okay with it when they were younger, but I know like now people have really big problems because children can't actually consent to that kind of stuff. So when you have like all of these mom influencers on TikTok and Instagram, like I guess kids can't really consent to that kind of stuff. And um you're putting your kids out there, and you're putting your kids' faces out there and stuff like that. Hi, Joel. Thank you so much for joining me. Hi, Alicia. It's nice to see you. So you were an honest mom rather than trying to pretend anything. Oh my gosh, yeah. I've always been like that. Like nothing in my life has ever been perfect. And I literally don't even know how to pretend because um I'm just such a screwed up person. I wouldn't even like know how to begin to pretend to be perfect. I can't even keep my house clean to take like picture perfect pictures. And my kids, you know how people like have those perfect pictures of their kids and they all like have matching outfits and like all of the kids are clean. I had no idea how to do that. There was no way that I could get all three kids like in matching outfits to stay clean, to sit properly. I could even be like, we're going to go to McDonald's and get Happy Meals later. And they'd just be like, psh, okay, whatever. Even like now, I follow all of these because my dog has an Instagram account. And so I follow all of these doggy Instagram accounts. And all these people can somehow get like six dogs to sit together and look at the camera. And I have no idea how. I can't even get two dogs to sit together and look at a camera. Like I can't even do that. Like I try and I'll like hold treats up in front of them and they'll be like jumping for the treats. My dogs don't even sit. So how in the world people can get animals to sit together or children to sit together, I have absolutely no clue. It's beyond me. Workaholic Panda says, I get nervous that anything I say publicly could be interpreted wrong, used against me. I admire bloggers' bravery. Yeah, actually, I have that fear now, but it's kind of gone away because now, like with Marilyn's channel, Coffee Calls and Crafts, and with That's So Effed Up the podcast live, which is on YouTube. I'm more willing to speak out against things that are wrong, especially things that are wrong in society right now. But back when I was a blogger, I was pretty careful, especially about my husband's military career. Um, we have this thing in the military called OPSEC, which is pretty much like you're not supposed to talk about like where they are, where they're going, when they're going to get home, when they leave. You're not supposed to talk about any of that kind of stuff like publicly. Um, but right now, like I can say my husband has orders to go to Kuwait next year. And oh, not next. I keep forgetting this is 2024. My husband has orders to go to Kuwait this year. So I can say that right now because he's not going to a war zone. He's not going into a war. There's nothing, going on like that. But back when I was blogging was when the wars were going and he was going to Afghanistan and he was going to Iraq. So I had to be really careful about what I said that way. I also worried back then about saying things that would possibly um, embarrass my children in the future. So I was um, you know, careful about like their pictures, like not putting something really humiliating on there or not putting something that because people can snag all of that stuff for eternity. And like I said, somewhere my blog is archived. Um, so I do understand that as far as that goes. As far as me, I'm not super concerned. Um, I don't say anything on here that I wouldn't say to somebody's face. Um, and I don't say anything that um I mean, if you really, really find something wrong with what I'm saying, I guess go ahead and let me know. I am going to That's another thing I did want to talk about is as the year goes on, I am going to get more political because there are some things that are really, really serious that are happening right now. And this is an election year that's pretty much the most important that we can even possibly imagine, right? And every generation says that. Every generation has some sort of election year that's the most important. But this is the most important for my children and possible future grandchildren if that ever happens. So I do have to speak up about some of that stuff, which I know that people aren't going to like. And I am continuing to speak out against um, fundamentalist Christians and you know, Scientology, just cults that are active right now, cults that really need people's awareness, any type of high control religions, things like that. I'm going to keep speaking out about them. So I guess in that sense, um, I could be scared but I am really, really small fish. I'm teeny tiny fish at this point. I really don't matter. So, um, if somebody wants to come at me for that, mm, I don't know. There's much bigger fish in the sea, I guess. My voice isn't strong enough yet, but I'm not gonna stop like speaking out against it. Um, Another thing I wanted to talk about was um like I've always had a problem with imposter syndrome, and I've always had a problem with not thinking I'm good enough doing something that I'm doing. So, for example, I was a gymnastics coach for a handful of years, and how I started in gymnastics, I personally never did gymnastics. What I did was um, go to gymnastics classes like with my little one. He was 1 or 2, I think he was 2 at the time, and we would just run around. It wasn't any type of formed class or anything. We'd just run around. And one day the owner of the gym said, I need gymnastics coaches, like most of mine are quitting, if you know anybody. Um and I said, hey, I need a job, but I've never coached gymnastics. And she's like, well, you're so amazing with kids. I don't care. I'll teach you. So I learned how to coach gymnastics. But where the imposter syndrome comes in is I moved because, being in the military, I moved like probably a year later. And I walked into this tiny little YMCA and was going to sign my daughter up for gymnastics. And the lady at the counter just happened to say, by the way, we're losing our gymnastics instructor. And if you happen to know anybody, and I said, I'm a gymnastics instructor, but I'm going to be super honest. I really wasn't. What I did was I played with really little kids. I played with like the mom and me classes, which are babies. And I taught 3 and 4 year olds. And once in a while, I would teach like the 5, 6 year old class, but not a whole lot. So I wasn't really a gymnastics coach. So I talked my way into that, but then I'm stuck with this gymnastics program because the girl actually quit right away. She didn't even stay to train me or anything. And so I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I have no idea, and I can't tell anybody I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm not qualified for this. I'm not good enough for this. I shouldn't be here. The only skill I really had is that I'm really good with kids, and I know how to, like, keep them contained and keep them entertained. Um, so I ended up building a really big gymnastics program. I was there for 4 years. I built a huge gymnastics program. I was really, really proud of it. It's still one of the things I'm most proud of today. But I'm still not technically qualified to coach gymnastics. Um, I did get like some certifications that like you had to get at the time through the YMCA, but what I was doing, nobody taught me. I taught myself everything. I taught myself how to spot kids. I taught myself how to do all of what I was doing. Um, so then when I moved to a big city after that and tried to apply for gymnastics coach positions, I was denied all over the place because people were telling me, you're not actually a gymnastics coach. Like, we can't actually hire you. You don't have proper certification. You haven't gone to US gymnastics coaching, all of this kind coach training, all of this kind of stuff. And I was um kind of like at the point where I'm like, yeah, I'm proven right. I'm not a gymnastics coach. I was being an imposter that entire time. That's the way I was feeling. Still really proud of my program. It was amazing, and the person who took it over ran it into the ground, and that still makes me sad because it is a small town. There's not a lot to do there. That was one thing I was just super proud of, and so many kids got to come to my program, and even if gymnastics wasn't something they were passionate about, they still at least got to, make friends, do some tumbling, get some exercise. And on a side note, I actually do get to coach tumbling here where I am right now on this Army base. Starting next month, I'm only going to be able to coach for 4 months until I move, but I at least get to coach tumbling again, which I'm super excited about because it's one of my favorite things. Um, oh, hi, Jen. Thank you. Thank you, Marilyn. I appreciate you. There's a difference between saying vote for this for partisan reasons and talking about societal issues that are part of the political sphere too, and certain stuff needs to be talked about. Yeah, I agree. It's yeah, I by no means would tell anybody who to vote for. But I'm not even registered as anything. I don't register as anything because I don't want to. But yeah, there's so many things that we really, really need to discuss that I'm definitely not going to keep quiet about, and they may include a certain person that's running for president, and they may even include a certain person who is currently president. Not everybody's having issues right now, and we need to talk about all of the issues, not just like this one person because he says mean things about women. There's so much. Yeah, I'll save it for another day. A lot of coaching really is pedagogics and encouraging children to develop their potential. Right, and that's exactly what I was doing. So I was doing recreational. So and that's what I will be doing is recreational. So it's mostly just me working with kids to learn about their bodies, learn how their bodies move. And actually, if you're ever interested in dance and gymnastics are the two types of activities where your children can really learn about their bodies, how they move, their muscles, like how to purposely move your body to do. So if you have like uncoordinated kids or um even if like you have kids, like when I was little, I walked pigeon toes with my toes in. When I had kids in my class, like I taught them how to walk with their toes straight, just all that kind of stuff is just super helpful for kids. Bye, Joel. I'll see you later. Thanks for stopping by. And then I have like serious insecurities, and insecurities have to do with, like, so many people. They have to do with childhood trauma, and there's a lot of emotional abuse, a lot of being put down, a lot of being told I was stupid, a lot of being told I wasn't doing stuff right, a lot of, you know, um like, just constant put downs. When I was little, there was actually a phrase that certain people would say to me, and it was called pulling a Peggy, and that meant doing something stupid. And so that bothered me, of course. Um, I still think about that, but it's really funny because certain people who said those things to me when I was young, they've done that, like, I forget what it's called, but like that memory reverse where you don't remember any of the bad things you did when you were younger, right? You remember of the bad things that everybody did to you. So, talking about these types of things to the people who did them is not even worth it because they have chosen to switch everything around in their brain to where they're the victim. Um, but growing up with that type of atmosphere where everybody's constantly telling me what I'm doing wrong and putting me down and calling me slow. I was called slow all the time. Um, and then even into adulthood, I was called slow, lazy, dumb, and not by my husband by any means. He actually had his hands full in working really hard to undo a lot of that, which you know, when you marry somebody and you have no idea what their baggage is, I feel bad for him. Something that he definitely got dumped upon that he had no idea was coming at him. um, but all of those things add up, and then um as an adult, just still being told those things. So I'm always thinking I'm not worthy of anything. I'm not worth this. I'm not worth that. Like, I feel one of the only few things that I've really done in my life that's like worthwhile is, like, be a mom. Like, I raised three of just the absolute most amazing kids I could ever imagine. And we've had to work through some problems because they grew up with a mom um, with unchecked mental illness, undiagnosed for most of my adult life. So I didn't understand what was happening to me. I didn't know about trauma. I didn't childhood trauma. I didn't know about PTSD. I didn't know me to me PTSD had to do with, soldiers coming back from the war. I didn't know that what was happening to me um and what had happened to me when I was younger, I didn't realize how much that was affecting me. And so my kids also kind of took the brunt of that, and we've worked through a lot of it. I know we still have some more work to do. But they do know that I'm regretful, that I wish that sometimes I had been a better mom. There's a lot of times that it was just the 4 of us and my husband was gone. There was a lot of times when I didn't have that other parent to go to, and I wasn't able to take those breaks. They talk about how important it is to take breaks as a parent, to go lay down and take a nap or to go shopping by yourself. And when you have such young kids, and you're by yourself so often and you don't have any type of familiar support around you, um, it's gonna build up. It's really gonna build up. And then unfortunately, sometimes you take it out on your kids, and I was a yeller. I yelled a lot. So I would yell at the kids. Um, and then my dad had a bad temper when I was growing up. And he was the type of person who he, like, jumped to conclusions and not find out what actually happened first. So just always assume that you did the bad thing. Always assume that you did the wrong thing. and not even like understanding that children make mistakes, right? And not even understanding that I'm not going to do everything right because I don't understand, I don't understand all the wrongs and rights of the entire world, or I'm a kid, I'm clumsy, or like um stupid, when you're dribble the ball in the house and you knock over the lamp, stuff like that. And I actually was allowed to dribble the ball in the house, in the kitchen only. But there's so many things that kids do as kids because they're kids. And I really wish that I had the knowledge now, or that I have the knowledge back then when my kids are little that I have now, because I know so much more about childhood brain development now, and I understand so much more. And um my youngest has ADHD, and there's so many times that I wish I knew better how to handle that. So there's all these insecurities that build up because of what I've been told, my own actions. Um, I've been called ugly, and I've been told that I'm fat and things like that throughout my life, and that's always really hard to hear. Um, so it's like I'm never good enough for other people. So why would it be like a good idea for me to come on here and talk to people? Like, what in the world would anybody even want to hear about that I have to say? So that's kind of like the battles that I'm battling right now. And I do have a lot of friends who keep encouraging me, and my daughter is literally like my biggest cheerleader in the whole world. She always like cheers on everything that I'm doing. And my husband always supports me. He supported me through some crazy stuff. He supported me when I wanted to start a cupcake business, and he supported me when I was writing my books, and he was supported me when I wanted to go to school to get a culinary degree. And now he's supporting me going back to school to get a social work degree, because I don't actually want to um because I don't actually want to cook, because I don't like cooking anymore. So I do have a lot of support, and I really appreciate everybody who like tells me keep going. I save texts from people. I screenshot compliments about like one of my good friends, Liz. She tells me that my voice is really soothing. She likes to just like sit and listen. She doesn't get to catch my lives very often because she also has a very chaotic life with 3 young children. But things like that encourage me and help me. And so when I hop on and I see like only one person watching, um, I remind myself it literally doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I hop on live and only one person is watching, because tomorrow I'll have 10 views on here or whatever, right? Like, I have to keep going and keep reminding myself that doesn't matter. But what's funny is I've talked to so many other people who do podcasts and YouTubing and stuff like that, because I've been kind of talking to people and taking notes. And I've talked to some bigger creators who have, the thousands or the tens of thousands of and every single person says that there was a time when they absolutely wanted to give up. They absolutely thought that this was the dumbest thing that they had ever done. And what in the world are they doing? Why are they doing it? This is so stupid. Like, only 2 people watched me yesterday, and I keep going on every single day, and now only one person is watching me. So it's really funny that everybody, even those people who have like, I talked to one of my friends who has 15,000 subs, and then I have another friend who has like one of the Instagram like dog accounts that I was talking about, with the beautiful pictures of her babies that she always posts. And she's got 14,000 followers. And um I was asking her about like creating content and how did you get all those followers and stuff like that. So I've gotten some really good advice, but the thing that I have to do is I have to like take my time and I have to work at it like it's an actual job. Like, I know people say you don't have to work at this 8 hours a day, or you can work at this 8 hours a day and see the results down the road, right? They really do want to start, editing videos and stuff like that. I think that may be a little better for my ego if I could just post a video and not worry about who's chatting with me or whatever. And I just want to edit videos because I like doing it. But then I also have to think about like what the purpose for my channel is going to be. And I actually have changed the purpose for my channel probably like 12 times. In even just after I've made my channel, I've been thinking, I want to delete everything that I've already posted, start all over, start with a completely different viewpoint and come from a different angle. And I have deleted some of my videos because I just didn't like how they went. But I don't think that deleting all the videos is the answer either. Just what's the term? Like when you like grow and you like morph into like whatever you're trying to get to. So being somebody who wants to get into social work has to do like it encompasses so many different areas, and I can't really narrow down anything that I want to do, but I really, really need to speak up for people and animals that don't have voices. And I really, really need to speak out against specific things that are going on right now that people need to be aware of, because everyone keeps telling me that there's certain issues, not enough people can be talking about it. Like we can have 2 million people talking about this issue and it's still not getting to everybody who needs to hear it, right? So yes, evolving. Thank you. It was just not coming to my brain. And so, okay, the reason why I wanted to bring this all up tonight, besides the fact that I keep thinking I need to just quit, and it's another thing that like you invest money in this kind of stuff, and I definitely would not ever just want to like randomly waste money just because I give up on um like, oh, that was a hobby for a month. That was really fun. Okay, moving along. Let's go do our next thing. Because I do like quit everything. I do always, not always, but very often, I do quit what I'm doing and I just go, mm, okay, that was fun. On to the next thing. So, like, I don't have a craft room right now because everything's in boxes because I did not unpack. I knew I was only going to live here for a year. But if I had a craft room, you could see my evolution of things I've been interested in and things I gave up on. So, like, right now, I have mass amounts of yarn and like cross stitch kits, cross stitch patterns, all sorts of that kind of stuff because of what I was getting into at one point several years ago. And I was cross stitching and I was doing, like the plastic canvasy kind of things and stuff like that. And then I got severe carpal tunnel. I had to have surgery on both my hands, and it's much better. It's much better. I don't have like I couldn't close my hands. I couldn't grasp things. I just it was just my arms were numb all the time. It was pretty bad. But now I have a neurological issue, and my hands shake all the time. Mostly my right hand, but I can't like my hands rarely stop shaking. And so it's hard to like cross stitch when your hands shaking and you're like looking at the little hole and you're like trying to get it in there and trying to get it. It's really hard. Um, and also with my neurological issue comes this thing called brain fog, which is really fun. Brain fog is where my brain just stops. Like I'm always kind of foggy. I always feel tired. I'm always fatigued. But the brain fog is the really fun part because that means that words don't come to me. I'll sit here like evolving. Like I'll sit here and think, and that's actually the reason why some of my videos I've deleted, because I know that I've had like dead space, like a lot of dead space where I'm just staring because I'm actually thinking of words, but they're just not coming to my brain. And that's another thing that holds me back. I think often that maybe I should start editing videos instead of doing lives, because then I wouldn't have to worry so much about that. I could delete, or I could edit stuff out, or you know, I could put up a warning and say I was having a really bad day today with brain fog. Bear with me. Um so having like different mental illnesses and different, I guess, kind of disabilities, like neurological issues, it makes things harder it makes things harder to do. It makes things harder for me to finish, concentrate on, think about. And then there's also just the regular old-fashioned adult ADHD. um um and so it is hard, and it makes me really upset. I can get emotional about it, but usually like when I'm by myself, but more so I get mad. Like I just get like really frustrated and upset with myself. And I just kind of like, why can't I stop being like that? Why can't I be normal? Why can't I just talk normally? Um, why do I have to be so dumb? I'll just, that kind of stuff goes through my brain because I can't stop any of this from happening. I've had a lot of these issues for a lot of years, and I'm on as many meds as, honestly, as I'm willing to take. I'm not willing to take anything else. I'm on so many meds for so many different things that even if a doctor does say, hey, I've got something else that could help you with this, I almost always say no, no. Or, we got to find something to take away then, because I just can't keep, you just can't keep adding medications just because something new is wrong. I just wanted to bring up this. I needed respite care, but instead I just got totally exhausted. Yeah. That's me. I was just utterly exhausted all the time. And the kids were always doing stuff and they were always busy. And that's on the parents. It's on the parents how busy the kids are. The parents can say no, and I did sometimes say no to activities. But I also did my own stuff. I was also working, while trying to be some type of stay-at-home mom. I did some homeschooling at some point. I volunteered a lot. I was scout leader a lot, or like I volunteered for the schools, almost every school that they went to, stuff like that, because I wanted to be active, like, in their lives, especially when dad's not there, because they need people. But yeah, when you're not getting that break and you're just doing all the work by yourself all the time. And I'm not saying my husband didn't do anything by any means. He always tells people that I raised the kids, that I get the credit for the kids, but there's no way I did it on my own, right? But about 24 years of marriage, and I estimate we've been apart for about half of that, just with deployments, trainings. We've lived apart by choice a couple times because we wanted to keep the kids in certain schools. And we knew that he was, going somewhere where we didn't want the kids in those schools. So he definitely did his, he did the football coaching for the boys, and he's been to almost all, I think all except for one of the musicals that my daughter was in. So he worked hard at making sure he was there for the kids. But when you work 14 to 16-hour days, you're utterly exhausted also. And a lot of times, especially as a leader, and then he has to come home and, he's doing paperwork, or he did go to school full time too to get his bachelor's degree at one point. Um, so we were those two parents that were, um, falling in bed at the end of the night, completely exhausted, and then we didn't get that time to ourselves. For years, we did not get that time to ourselves. And I was talking to a woman tonight who she's who I'm gonna do um coach tumbling with, and she owns two different tumbling gyms, and she has three kids, all 9 and under. She's utterly exhausted all the time. She says she never gets a break, and she's a full-time teacher. But I told her that right now, where I'm in my life, like, I get to nap whenever I want. I get all the free time I want. I get all the free time with my husband I want. I can watch anything I want to on TV, but I would rather than all of that, I would rather have my kids back in the house. My three kids are all across the country, and um, one of them I really especially hardly get to see because he's way on the other coast. But I don't get to see my kids that often. And then because I move around the country too, it makes it hard for them to come see me sometimes. So I would actually rather be exhausted and have the kids back in the house, because this empty nest thing, it's really not that fun. The military is a lot of stress on the families too, and that's easily underestimated. Oh yeah, hugely underestimated. And there's jokes about the families, and there's mainly jokes about military spouses. So one thing that people call military spouses is a dependapotamus. A dependapotamus. So a dependa is somebody who depends on another person, right? And they think that all military spouses are fat. And this is like other soldiers calling us this. So dependopotamus is what mostly military wives are. And it's not a joke, but they think it's a joke. And so no, we don't get any credit. We don't get any type of, but any type of recognition for what we do. But I can definitely say that, um, you know, I've I've helped my husband like get to where he is, and he is, the highest rank that he can be. And I'm not going to say he couldn't get there without me. If he was a single soldier, he actually probably would have got to that rank faster, but actually he would have quit a lot earlier. He stayed in for us and for the family, and he's been in for 26 years. Um, and we're all like really super proud of him. But we've all, as a family, me and the kids, we've encouraged him to keep going, to stay in, and he's had like dreams and goals and stuff that he's wanted to um and he's wanted to get to, certain places in his career. And so it's just kind of not really fair that I don't get to say, hey, I helped him get there, because I look like somebody who's what's the term? Like I used him for whatever, or I sponged off of him. Like that's what people think of military spouses, is that we like sponge off of our soldiers and we just stay home and do nothing. So when I was a stay-at-home mom, I certainly didn't do nothing by any means. I was still up early in the morning and still going till late at night. You're not doing nothing by any means. And even if I wasn't a good housekeeper, I still wasn't doing nothing. I still wasn't sitting around watching TV all day. Um so yeah, that's military life is hard, and um we can't even acknowledge each other. Like, military spouses are pitted against each other, and this is exactly why I'm saying this. I've seen moms that team up to give each other a break, and um I don't know why, and I'm never really going to understand why, but they really try to pit military wives against each other, especially, and I say wives even though, there's men that are spouses too. But especially, like, my husband is on the enlisted side, and then there's the officer side. Those spouses get pitted against each other. Enlisted and officer spouses get pitted against each other all the time, and there's just not a lot of like union. There's not a lot of people coming together and helping each other out. I hope things are changing. And like, I don't have small kids anymore, so I don't know. I really hope that things are changing. I was in a really large play group at one point with my kids when they were really little, and there were a lot of moms that did help out. I personally didn't really get much help, but there were a lot of moms that did kind of help each other. Whenever I've had a friend group, I've always been on the outer circle of the friend group. And you know how there's always an inner circle? I've never once been in a friend group where I'm in an inner circle. I've always been in that outer circle, just kind of like, hey, I'm out here. And then usually end up getting kicked out. Because people suck, right? I have brain fog. The frogs. I have brain fog a lot too. Yeah, and that's us with our autoimmune diseases too, which also adds to the fun. Team shaky hands here too. Got my own share of neurological issues. I'm sorry. I know how much that sucks. I actually was with my husband in Vegas, and we were eating at a Korean barbecue place, and I was trying to use my chopsticks, and my hands were like all over the place. And so I'm like, can I have a fork, please? And getting really frustrated because I'm like, I can use chopsticks. That's how I feel with my vision issues. Oh, I didn't know you had vision issues. Um, yeah, it gets so frustrating because you just want to be like, I can be normal. Like, I can see, or I can, think, or whatever your issues are, but you feel so helpless sometimes. Hello, thank you so much. It's nice to see you. I can't find certain words in my mother tongue sometimes because I spent so much time thinking in English and think it's the language I've been speaking all my life. How am I failing it? Um, my daughter, she speaks, besides English, she speaks French and Spanish. So she's really funny because she'll think in all three. So she'll literally, in her brain, she'll think in all three. And sometimes she'll say a sentence literally in all three languages. And I'll have just stare at her and I'll be like, in English, por favor. Marilyn, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I know I told you earlier that I was going on at 8. I'm actually going to wrap up really soon um, in the next few minutes here, but I appreciate you so much. When I saw you pop on, I was like, okay. But yeah, I'm going to wrap up in just a few minutes here. I just wanted to pop on and kind of explain myself and explain my way of thinking and like what's going through my brain right now, because sometimes I just need to like get it out. And I'll call my mom. My mom's good for me just like spewing all of this stuff on her. And I don't really get super emotional about this stuff. I don't cry about it necessarily. Um, but sometimes I do just need to like find a avenue to just be like, um, what's it called? Like vomiting out everything, because um if I sit with this stuff in my head for too long, and I also don't have a therapist right now, which really sucks because usually I have therapy, but my current therapist was like, hey, by the way, I'm moving and I can't see you outside of California. And I was like, oh, that's fantastic. I'm so glad. You should have told me that when I signed up with you a couple months ago, but great. But I appreciate everybody listening to me, and I was just kind of rambling, just kind of getting things off my chest. But I always appreciate the support, because I do really have people that support me. I have my friends from That's So Fucked Up the podcast, who either watch every time, or they watch the replay, or I get messages from them. And I have my SPTV friends, and then I have like Sophia, who's both, because she works with me at That's So Fucked Up as a researcher, which is really cool. And I don't consider myself an SPTV channel really, but I'm on the outer circle. So until somebody kicks me out, I'll stay on this outer circle. But this is also something that I don't have to like quit when I get kicked out. Like when I got kicked out of the animal rescue when I lived in Kansas, I had to quit because I'm not going to keep working for people that treated me the way that they treated me. But I was thinking about, if something does happen down the road, it's just my luck. It's what happens to me every time I make a group of friends, or every time I start something like this. Even like when I started my cupcake business, I had a team of moms from my son's football team who actually got together and started writing bad reviews because one of them ordered a cake from me. She didn't tell me what it was for. She just said she needed a football field for the Patriots. I made it a football field for the Patriots. I get the cake, I deliver it, and she said, "You didn't write happy 16th birthday to my son on it." So, well, you didn't order that, and I didn't know it was his 16th birthday. Well, why wouldn't you just assume that? Why wouldn't you write it on there? I don't ever assume to write anything on a cake. You don't do that. You don't just assume. You make the cake exactly as the person ordered it. And even when I worked at Kroger decorating cakes, you make the cake exactly as the person ordered it. You don't assume anything. So then they went on a crusade, and I just kind of decided to shut down because it wasn't worth trying to battle women who had bigger voices than me, So it's one of those things that's like my luck, and happens to me everywhere I move. It's why I'm not really making friends at all here in California, because I knew for certain I was only going to live here for a year, and it's just not. And next year, or not, see, I keep saying next year. This summer, I get to move back to Colorado, where my really good friends are, where we have a really safe support system. I know people really love me. They're really supportive of me. Every time I go back, they want to visit me and they want to see me. So I'm excited to move back there, where I have that support system. Hi, sweetie. Hi. Oh my goodness, thank you. Hi. I'm going to show you to everybody in just a minute, okay? I'm going to introduce you all to my co-host as I'm wrapping up here. Vulnerability brings you your tribe of lovable weirdos. I think so too. Ever since I've been more honest about me, my personality, my mental illness, I have actually found people like you guys, like my That's So Fucked Up family, people who are also honest with me. And I can talk to Ashley and co-host Fallon, and both of them can tell me, I'm having a really rough week. You're probably not going to hear from me much this week. And then I can tell them, you're not going to hear much from me this week. And it's going to be great because we're all super honest with each other versus people who just ghost you and just stop talking to you and don't communicate that they're having a rough time. And so then you have all of those things going through your brain, like they hate me, they're ghosting me, I'm a horrible person. Thank you. I appreciate you too. You always support me, and that makes me feel happy. I'm a Jezebel freak, and I'm glad you love me anyway. Absolutely, Marilyn. I think we are definitely two peas in a pod, except like you say, I'm your normie friend. I'm not. I'm the never in that was never actually in a cult, but I've got my own shit. Okay, so real quick before I go, I want to introduce everybody to my co-host. So, this is a spare bedroom that we have, and one of my 3 cats does not get along with everybody else in the house. So he lives in this bedroom. It's all his. He gets to do whatever he wants, and he's got his beds and his cat trees and all that kind of stuff. But whenever I come in here, he always has to like tap my arm. So if you see in the picture on the right, he's kind of standing up on the chair a little bit. He does that to me all the time. He'll put his little paws on the armrest. He'll tap my arm. Sometimes if he feels me, like he's not super empathic. I've had really empathic animals, but he does like understand if you get upset. He's 17 and a half years old. So he is a old man. And you can't see it, but his fur is actually pretty bad because he doesn't groom himself anymore. We have to shave him. We shave him about twice a year, but it's really traumatic for him. He hates it. So I only do it twice a year because it's not fun for him. But this is my cutie man, Scooter, and he lives when my son Hunter lives with us, and he's not off at college. Scooter actually lives with Hunter, so they're best buds. And so every time you guys see me streaming, you know that Scooter is somewhere. He's either right around my feet or he's like tapping my arm, trying to get my attention. He's my little cutie boy, and I'll have to introduce you guys to everybody else another time. I have 5 animals total, and tomorrow is a sad anniversary. Tomorrow is 1 year anniversary since I lost my sweetie boy named Lambo. A really, really rough one because one day I found out he had bladder cancer, and that literally the next day we had to say goodbye. So one of those totally unexpected, out of the blue. I thought that he just had like, because he was like scooting his bottom a lot. So I was honestly, because he was a puggle, so half pug, I was thinking he just had gland issues or something, and take him to the doctor, and she says there's nothing wrong with his glands, but he's got bladder cancer. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. And I'm happy I was able to hop onto your live today. I don't catch a lot of lives, which makes me feel so bad, but y'all, I watch a lot of replays, and I'm trying my absolute best to watch and support everybody else too, because I know that that's really important, and that's what I try to do on my dog's Instagram too, is like support all the other dogs. I think we've got like 400 followers maybe, which I'm good with. Yeah, actually, I know we've talked about it before. So at some point, love it for sure. I can get contact info from Maryland. And I do really want to go to the next protest, February 24th, I think they said. I want to go really bad. I was going to go to this last one, but at my work, that we're really short-handed right now, and I just felt bad calling out. But I'm gonna like plan next time so that they can get a sub for me, and I'll bring my pugs. I love pugs. Thank you guys. Thank you. Yeah, it's gonna be a rough one tomorrow, but I've got my 5 other babies to get some love from and remember the good times with Lambo. He was a good family dog. He was a great family dog, and he was one of those dogs that was just really fun to have when the kids were growing up. We only got to have him for 10 years, but he was a fun dog. Thank you guys for your support. I appreciate you so much, and please contact me anytime. This is my email, and I would love it if you contacted me if anybody ever wants to be a guest. I am really open to having guests and talking about some fun stuff. If you look in my videos, my friend Gatris has been on twice, and we've talked about some fun things. And Gatris and I actually have some cool stuff coming up. We have a lot in common. She also comes from That's So Fucked Up, and we have some fun things coming up, and I would love to talk to anybody that wants to come on and hang out and talk about things. I'm really open to thank you so much, guys. I'm really open to anything that you guys want to talk about, anything mental health wise, anything, like I said, political wise, anything that's going on in the country right now, whatever it is that we feel is important that we need to put a voice to, please come on and let's chat. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you all soon, and I will see you in other streams. Bye, everybody.